The COVID-19 pandemic has put a halt to a lot of popular traditions, including that of New Year's. And while not everyone celebrates New Year's the exact same way, the same things, such as fireworks and large gatherings, seem to always accompany the festivities. Obviously, during this time last year, a lot of countries tightened their restrictions, and that results in presents that are a bit different from usual times. And that's what we got last year, a whole lot of restrictions. It's actually quite interesting to see the stark contrasts between New Year celebrations that happened before the pandemic and New Year celebrations that happened during the pandemic. And so, let's go ahead and see those differences in how each parts of the world celebrated their New Year's during and before the pandemic, starting with Australia. Australia, as usual, is one of the first countries to welcome the new year. The most iconic New Year celebration in the land down under is the fireworks display at Sydney Harbour Bridge. During last year's celebration, the fireworks still went off, but it was scaled back and there were strict crowd control restrictions in place. And now we move on to China. The Huangpu River in China is where the fireworks display used to draw hundreds of thousands of spectators. During this New Year's Eve, however, that event was cancelled, along with the various lucky bell ringing ceremonies that used to be conducted in various major Chinese cities. So let's move on to chilly London, all the way in the United Kingdom. In the city of London, fireworks used to light up the famous London Eye, and crowds used to line the city streets. However, in the peak of the pandemic of last year, neither of them were present, as Tier 4 restrictions were in effect, and everyone was ordered to stay at home. And now we cross the Atlantic to the United States of America. And what better place to celebrate New Year's Eve in the US than in New York City? In New York City's Times Square, the celebration, which involved the lowering of the New Year's ball, is the highlight of the New Year's Eve celebration in the US. But what used to be a roaring and crowded affair was much more muted during last year's celebration, when the festivities were closed to the general public, with the exception of first responders and other essential workers. And now we're moving on to the Middle East, to the United Arab Emirates. Over here, where we're celebrating New Year's Eve against the backdrop of the tallest skyscraper in the world, the Burj Khalifa, in Dubai.
With over 90% of the UAE's population fully vaccinated, the city's famous light show was conducted with minimal restrictions.
And now, let's bring it back home, to the capital city of Indonesia, Jakarta.
Where the famous HI roundabout used to welcome the new year with fireworks. This year, however, the government imposed strict health protocols in a bid to curb the Omicron variant transmission. The Jakartans welcome 2022 not with a bang, but with a whisper. We see the world continuing its battle with COVID-19 in 2021. While several cases and deaths were recorded last summer, we've also welcomed a miracle as COVID-19 vaccines made their ways across the world. This year, while the new Omicron variant is around us, we hope that the worst is truly behind us. R.A. Siddhartha and Lutfi Efan for See Today.